Hi, so this is my self-assessment of my final project. I will run through each of the parts that were required for this project, first being the proposal, which I have posted on my blog, and pretty much a drama about a man who loses his wife um, and goes to his room, locks himself in there, and then is drawn out of his room when he remembers his son, and it's worth living for his son. My plan was to use my husband, a professional actor, and my son as my actors, and I planned on filming in my house as long as there was good lighting, and I didn't plan to have much, if any, dialogue, so I planned on using a little bit of music. Part two, the script. I created, I'm a fairly visual person, and so I can close my eyes and imagine the video in my head. So I wrote out what I saw in my head, and that I described through a shot type as well as the subject for the shot. I've also included two different tones. This gray tones were original. I wanted it to add a little bit of moroseness to the feel of it, of the film. And then this bright sunny yellow tones for the dream sequence or memory sequences. So that I included which shots would be in gray tones and which shots would be in yellow tones. It's pretty bare. There's only 14 shots in my script. So, and partially because I knew that some of these things would work themselves out. Like, for instance, shot 9, a cutaway of certain women's items. I wasn't sure exactly which items. I thought I would find things around my house that I could use. Also, this shot 8, I thought possibly using a multi-jump cuts. So that I knew was going to be different shots, but all from one position. Anyways, oh, and you can see here for shot 10, I included sound, because for the most part, the whole script is silent, except towards the end when the son comes in and has a few lines. So I thought it was important to include that dialogue. Knock at the door, he says dada. Oh, at the bottom here as well, there's a note about crossfades and jump cut, and those I wrote down during Dylan's presentation because they gave me the idea for how I could use transitions. Crossfades could represent a passage of time. Jump cuts could also represent the same, and I thought those were really appropriate to my film, so I wanted to write them down and not to forget about them. So moving on to the filming portion, I did borrow a video camera from the university, or a camera, and played around with that a little bit, but I wasn't really impressed with the quality of it. So I ended up pulling out my phone and practicing with that, and I really liked the quality on my phone and ended up using that instead of the camera from the university. I had lots of prep to do before actually filming, mostly in my house because my house is not always this clean. So I had lots of tidying and cleaning. There was also little details that I wanted to take care of because I didn't want there to be traces of a child or a wife really until further on when the child becomes a little bit of a surprise. So there was a lot of prepping to do around my house, some cons and pros to filming in one's own house. So I started working through my shot list on my script with exterior shots, and actually when I filmed the exterior, the establishing shot, I realized, oh, there's a nice shot of the two windows on the side of the house. And so I decided to do that. And I thought, well, if not, that becomes my B-roll, right? I took 2 different distances of my house, and then I also did a little shot outside my back door. Then I moved inside and did more shots, interior shots off of my script of the living room, hallway, blah blah. These were all shots that I could do without actors. So I sent my husband and my son out of the house. Oops, where are they? And took as much footage as I could without them. So all of those shots were done. So then I brought in my lead actor, and we filmed the first shots on the bed. I think we did that, oops. I think we did the whole long sequence on the bed, the jump cuts first. And then he had the idea, well, he knows a little bit more about films than I do, so he wanted to do the follow shot here. This was his idea, and I'm so glad that I let him. It was a really good director-actor relationship, playing with each other. And yeah, so we filmed that, and that sort of changed a bit of the direction of the project, but in a really good way. I ended up having to film over 2 different days because my husband is working and only gets Mondays off. So I filmed the exterior and establishing shots and then his solo shots. And then I had about a week until I could film with him again. So in the meantime, I started editing, and that led me into the memory sequence a little bit. And we were going to film these 2 shots of the woman laughing under the sheets and the man smiling under the sheets. But my husband reminded me that we had a lot of just regular footage laying around on the computer that I could use instead. So I took a look at those and ended up using those. Anyways, so that's all of this is just footage that we've taken. I think this scene was filmed 3 years ago. And then a lot of these other ones were filmed in Montreal 3 or 4 years ago. Anyways, so my second day of filming with my 2.5-year-old child was very interesting. I had to, and my advice to anybody else working with children is to work with what they give you and be happy that you got anything. I will show you a little clip of what it's like working with a child.
And you say, Dad, Dad, okay? And then when Dad opens the door, don't come in. Just stay there, and Dad's gonna pick you up and give you a hug, okay? Huh? Yeah. So what do you do when Dad opens the door? You just wait for Dad to pick you up. Okay? Okay. Wait for Mom.
So that cut there was, I had to stop filming because he started crying because Mom and Dad were in a room without him.
Green beans go! Green beans go!
He watches a lot of Paw Patrol too.
Bo! Come knock and say Dada!
Anyways, I think you get the point. It's not very easy working with a child. Anyway, so with all of my shots taken, I moved on to editing. And initially I did intend on using Premiere Pro. I really liked using it for the music video project, but it just wasn't feasible for me to spend all of that time at the university on their computers. So I opened up iMovie and was quite happy with what I ended up getting through iMovie anyways. So I don't regret not using Premiere Pro. As far as what I did to my footage is I've added titles, I added a voiceover recording. This one here is a recording of my own home phone in the background. And I ended up having to speed it up because there was too much time in between the rings and it would have gone over into the next shot, which I didn't want. I've got different transitions, cuts, fades. All of my dissolves are specifically timed to suit the transition or the two shots on either end. I've got cuts here. I've got a fade to black at the end. And then I've also added music to the end of the film and a still shot as well. I also played with cropping some shots. And this is a good example. This is actually all one long shot, but I wanted it to have focus in the first half on Josh, and then open it up to the rest of the bedroom, and then again focus in on Dad and son there. I adjusted all of my memory shots to a romantic video effect. I also altered all of the bedroom scenes. I played around with different video effects here, but I found the best thing was to just decrease the saturation, which gave me the effect that I wanted. I made audio adjustments to almost all of the clips, either eliminating sound completely, as in this shot here, lowering the sound, which I did in all of these memory shots, I believe, and then fading in and out the sounds as well. Problems that I had, the biggest problems definitely would have been audio levels. I'm not sure how it's going to turn out, but I think they're okay. I'm just not sure. And especially the stark contrast between the very silent bedroom scenes and then the audio coming straight in the memory scenes. I'm not sure how that's going to play out. And two other things. I'm not happy with the shadow above his head here. In fact, my husband isn't happy with this shot at all because he thinks it's obvious that he's holding the camera. I don't think it is until you get to the end and you see the shadow. So hopefully people don't notice that, and we did shoot it a couple of times and there was just no way to get around it. As well, this will bother me forever and I hate my friend for it. After completing everything, he pointed out, he asked me, "Oh, is that kitchen scene, did you change that to reverse?" I said, "Yeah, how did you know?" "Well, the steam actually goes into the pot rather than coming out of it." But I would not have noticed whatsoever unless he had pointed it out, and I hope no one else does either. I will post my self-assessment grades on my blog, but overall I'm very happy with this video. There's more shots of me than I had planned, but I like that because it makes it more of a family film instead of being really sad with just Bo and Josh in it and me out of the picture. My purpose for using this film will be if I end up teaching drama, which I hope. I can use it to show some acting moments, which Josh definitely has some very good acting moments in this, but also just the overall project, being able to show them how I made it, because I would love to have my students create their own films in class. And if I can do it, anyone can do it. It is actually very easy. Thank you very much.